Dude, what are you doing? Oh, sorry.
One second, let me turn it.
Hey guys, welcome back to another one of these fun reviews, discussions, or whatever this is. We just actually watched, it's not necessarily a movie, it's more of it is a documentary.
It's a movie about truth.
Hunt for the Skinwalker, a movie about our heroes trying to find what we think is either a poltergeist, a UFO, a werewolf. Follow us while we try to find out which of those is true. Who are you, Skinwalker? Starring The Misuse of Expertise, Startled Cattle, and Helianthus anise, or Sunflower Seed.
Oh God.
By Jeremy Carbell, who also made Bob Lazar and some UFO stuff. Yeah.
Some people are sources of gravity. Their certainty and wholeness commands our attention. We are drawn to them by a natural law that requires we don't quite understand the mechanism.
For transparency purposes, we know nothing about Skywalker Ranch, and we came at it as outsiders in this case. So,
Skywalker Ranch?
Skinwalker. Is this the search?
Hunt for the Skywalker? Episode 10? The episode we really need.
I mean, they've been looking for...
That's the one we've been waiting for.
Right? Yeah, they were looking for Luke this whole time.
So let's get right into it.
We were very confused. Like the first 10 minutes. I think I even noted down. 8 minutes in, and I still don't know what it is about. They're talking about poltergeist. They talk about Bigfoot. They mentioned Bigfoot several times.
A place where everything from cattle mutilations to Bigfoot to UFOs.
Scott Matt is live in Hernando, Mississippi, where there's been spottings of a cougar, and that's not it. That looks like a house cat.
It shows a bunch of papers with confidential writing in it, and at this point, I'm thinking,
Dude,
here we go.
It was not confidential. You see one piece of paper in it,
You're just
and you can cut to it, and then all they show, it says confidential, but it's just a white piece of paper, and someone just wrote it on Microsoft Word and put it on there. I'm not saying whatever papers afterwards weren't confidential. They just showed the facts cover page.
Yeah,
so
it's a piece of paper that says confidential on
why
it.
didn't they just show the actual confidential page behind it?
It's hard to find anybody in the Uinta Basin who doesn't have some kind of an experience with a UFO or Bigfoot or some other strange phenomenon.
Let's just go on a little journey. Let's just join them along on their story and try and search for this Skinwalker, whoever he is, if you're watching. So they break down the story in a bunch of reports that George Knaps has. Yep. So we'll just get into report number 1.
And it
Report
just
number
before we go,
original tape.
report number 1.
We stop in what's called the Middle Homestead, where the gangly branches of towering cottonwoods engulf stark, weather-beaten structures, rustic homes that have been empty for 50 years or more. Seriously, it's like the backdrop for a slasher movie.
So, okay, I had to look over my notes because it's honestly like,
It's confusing.
it's a snooze fest, so you can just watch this video, right? You don't have to watch. It's on Amazon Prime, so if you want to check it out, you can do that. Or you can just watch this video.
Yeah.
Up to you. But I have here, report number 1 gave no information, but they did have a picture of what I think is very compelling evidence of a sunflower seed falling through the sky.
I'd noticed an object that looked like this.
Yeah.
So benefit of the doubt. Let's say that they really did see what they said they saw. I don't think that photo is whatever they took. I think maybe they saw it and then the guy was like, well, this kind of looks like it, so we'll just drop a sunflower seed. Right. Take a photo and now. So like, it could have been that they really did see something. They were like, fudge, we didn't catch it. So now we gotta doctor it.
it also, I think tape number 1 also is the one where they're around the bonfire, or not around, but they're having a discussion at night. There's a fire pit in the middle, and then the shadow is hiding the top of the one guy talking, and he says he didn't want to reveal his identity, right? And he says he was a sheriff in like 1970 something, right? Like very specific. Now it's a small town. There's only so many police officers. You could probably start like.
On the other side of the fire, a man who spent 27 years as a law enforcement officer in the Uinta Basin. He asked that we not use his real name, so we'll call him Preston.
Yeah. So like, and you can see his hand. So it's just like you can easily
You're
like
not
be like,
hiding
there's
from
probably like
anyone.
3 others. It's like, Hank, is that you?
I believe it was 1971 when I first started in law enforcement.
Report number 2.
Werewolves. That was my first thing I wrote. So this is when things get a little crazy. They introduced the idea that maybe, did they even introduce what the Skinwalker might be in the first report?
No.
Aliens. Yeah, aliens.
Aliens.
Spacecrafts. Okay.
Yeah, aliens in the first one. Yeah.
And the next one is, I didn't say it. They said it. Werewolves.
Preston worked as a tribal police officer for several years, but says few of his Ute friends are willing to talk about skinwalkers.
Well, you could compare it to the nymph that you hear of werewolves, like an individual that turns into an animal-type being.
And in it, there's a dude who reports. So Colm Keller, the lead investigator, the biochemist, he actually wrote down red shirt. They were saying that in the 70s, the stories were different about Skinwalker Ranch than in the 90s.
Yeah.
In the 70s, you didn't get the scary stuff, even in the Uinta Basin. And we're going mostly on the testimony of Junior Hicks and probably a couple of dozen other witnesses. Whereas in the 90s, most of the activity that we have is centered around this ranch. And that was all kind of very scary poltergeist kind of stuff that...
The part that just blows my mind is while he's saying this, he rationalizes it like, what changed?
Hold on,
What could have caused?
I see a spider. You guys ever do that where like you go to take a spider outside and then like you go out and you go to release it and then you look at the ground, you don't see it, you look at the cup, you don't see it, and you're like, gosh.
Man, spiders and I have a deal. I don't kill them, but if they go on me,
I use their labor.
So what blows my mind is that this guy, Dr. Kong, from this evidence, and in the 70s it was less scary, in the 90s it was more scary. It just blows my mind that his reasoning behind it is that something must have changed to essentially make the spirits or alien change their behavior.
It seems to have changed in character.
So there was a farmer, right? And he's hanging out. And there's this wolf. And apparently this wolf was like friends with him.
I mean, wolves are real.
Are they though? This wolf. Wolves. So it was apparently befriended the farmer and his son and his family, like came right up to them and they would pet the wolf. Cool wolf.
And they had put a couple of calves in this corral here, in this one here, and they saw this this wolf was just trotting across the field here.
It comes back and it kind of starts attacking their cattle. Like it like sticks its head through the fence a little bit, grabs some cattle, at least that's how I'm picturing it, starts trying to drag the cattle out.
So Terry asked his son to go in to get a .357 Magnum. The son came out and the wolf was still trying to drag the calf through the corral. And Terry sort of pointed the Magnum at the animal and shot it.
Immediately when they're talking about them shooting and the wolves like just not even recoiling or whatever, I'm like, you're missing.
That was my first instinct.
But then they go out to say, oh, but the guy was a marksman.
Clearly.
Now, as far as I remember, he shot it either 3 or 4 times, and it was like from increasingly close range.
Anyway, so what happens is he takes out his Magnum 3 something something. They're very specific, and then he shoots the wolf, and it does nothing. The wolf just doesn't budge. So they get out the it's a rifle used for long range hunting, and then they shoot it, and they can see that it kind of like pushes the wolf, but they don't hear any cries of pain from the wolf. The wolf is still fighting for that calf. But when they do shoot it with the rifle, it starts to kind of back away, and they're shooting it, and they can see that flesh comes off of it after they shoot it, and then it just, the way they describe it, it just kind of like gingerly
jaunts away,
goes back to where it came from. Yeah, I'm out of here. This is too much.
The father and son, both armed with rifles, went after the wolf, catching glimpses as it moved through thickets and following the deep tracks it left in the wet ground.
They tracked the animal, they went after the animal, and they found that its tracks just stopped suddenly in a muddy bank right by the creek. It just seemed the tracks went nowhere.
A lot of this doesn't add up because it's trying to drag a calf away, right? Which is not, they're big, but they're not that big, right? So why would a gigantic 3 times normal wolf-sized dire wolf have a problem?
Yeah, they call it
a calf away. It would literally just be like, bleh.
Explaining why you just said dire wolf. It's because later on they're like given a picture of like, which of these, like basically a lineup of wolves. Which of these is the wolf that attacked you? That one. Well, that's a dire wolf.
Months later, when the family was asked to describe the wolf by looking at a lineup of different types, they pointed to this beast as the one closest to what they'd seen. It's a dire wolf and has been extinct for 10,000 years. At different times of the day and night, the family felt the ground shake and heard the sound of metal on metal coming from below.
So now we're on to report number 3. Metallic noises underground. So a lot of stuff starts happening around the farm, like things just start vanishing, like a chainsaw vanishes.
Cattle get misplaced.
No, don't try any of that cow hypnosis on me.
The way they say a chainsaw vanishes while being used.
Even a chainsaw vanished while being used. The chainsaw reappeared 100 yards away. The family needed help, and help was on its way.
Bob Bigelow is one of the most enigmatic individuals that you ever hear about.
And they introduce Bob Bigelow. Bob Bigelow being this like rich dude who buys the farm, and he forms a task force. He calls it a strike force. NIDS.
He created NIDS, National Institute for Discovery Science.
So, okay, we should actually get to the actual report. So, it's a report by Janice Puiga.
Is that what that report was?
Previous skeptic, now believer. Anyway, so I really want to give her the benefit of the doubt. But so their story is that they are hanging out. It's early morning. They see a bright light coming from outside. So they go outside to look at it.
When I went, let's listen, that's when that light came. It came clear from the sky. I mean, it hit like this, and it lit up the whole truck.
And it physically hit you, the light?
Yeah, it literally came down in and lit up everything.
Unfortunately, one of her neighbors also saw the light, because the light kind of like shines down on all of them, and then her neighbor gets like a super red face from it, like burned face, and unfortunately he passes away from cancer. After that,
they don't say which type, but yeah.
She believes it's from the light. Later on, we talk to the son as well. He doesn't believe it's from the light, and at this point, Jeremy calls the light, and they don't say it. He says it, and then they just agree, yeah, probably. Where he says the light, he calls it evil and malevolent.
So there is a element of fear for the ones you love.
Yeah.
That there is a malevolence to it, and evil that seems to be attacking the health of those you love.
Yeah.
That is something you believe to be true.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's just assumptions. The thing I didn't get is both the lady and the guy got hit by the light, but only the guy got burned by it.
Yeah.
Oh, right? Like she was underneath the light.
I
so
thought
she
that
didn't
was
get
weird too. Like, what about the grass?
That's not how light works. Like, Let's assume that an alien
but if it's
entity
alien, it would just-
actually shot down the
Yeah,
light.
just to-
Whether they were both underneath the spotlight, they would both be affected
But
by
it
it the
could
same.
be benefit of the doubt. Spotlight is just because they're like, oh, what's down there? And then they were like, let's scan that dude. And then they scanned him. And then it was like, yeah.
The global public is not ready to have global confirmation of this. A lot of disturbing things will occur. It's just too powerful.
Number 4.
Hi, Bobo. This is when we get. So this is when NIDS brings in what they like to call biosensors.
Dogs.
Dogs. They really stick to that term, though.
They say it a
Biosensor.
lot. I think they're just adding credibility.
They love it. They love that
So
word.
it's
They never say dogs, I feel like.
It's word salad. That's what that is.
Word salad.
A beast prowls the darkness outside of Skinwalker Ranch. It's Lucy, the Wonder Dog. She made the long drive with us to the Uinta Basin in part because Lucy can see and hear things that we can't.
So report number 1, we had aliens. Report number 2, Skinwalker. Report number 3, we're now at poltergeist.
They turned on the night vision equipment they had, and lo and behold, everything from a dull yellow light became like a three-dimensional, it looked like a three-dimensional tunnel. Slowly, this incident unfolded where they saw this, what looked like a humanoid creature, crawling, literally elbowing his or her way through this tunnel.
Guys, it's a portal.
It's a portal.
So now it brings them all in. It unifies.
It's evolving.
It unifies all of them.
Yeah.
It is evolving.
It's evolving.
The team brought in its own double-wide command center, installed surveillance cameras and other sensors, and tried to find prosaic explanations for the wild stories.
Spoiler: none of the cameras catch anything, and then they basically deduce that the entity is obviously smart, I guess in this case, and is avoiding the cameras. It only acts and does things when it's away from view.
Yeah,
but
it's tricky. They call it tricky.
I mean, that's one way to say it. I'm not collecting any evidence, so clearly it's happening outside of our eyes, right? Like, because I mean, that's.
Cameras did catch perplexing images over the years, darting orbs that seemed under intelligent control. A fan-shaped array of lights recorded more than once near the bottom of the ridge, something resembling an aircraft contrail that emanated from the ground. And this, the ghostly silhouettes of structures that reminded the team of New York's Twin Towers. The images are evidence, but of what?
Number 5.
The target is elusive. That's what I have written here.
Those biosensors just couldn't find them.
The biosensors can track them, but can't find them. How do they even know they can track them if they've never led them to the target?
The rancher and his wife, as they were driving past, remarked on how devastating it would be to them financially if they lost those animals.
It was as if someone overheard their concerns. When they returned to the corral an hour later,
And they were driving past the corral here on this track when they realized no bulls. The bulls were gone from the corral.
I think 4 bulls got corralled inside of a small enclosure, and they don't know how they managed to get them in there, right? What got them in there, right?
Which is fair.
And
could have been some praying kids.
Perfectly fair. Oh, case number 5 is the son of the daughter. What are you talking about?
His experience,
which was
the same.
It was dead night. We just stepped out of our truck. I'm just walking my own way, and she's walking this way. Then out of nowhere, it just lit up, bright as this, and just as you see in the windows. That's how bright it was.
Yeah, I don't even know what the son's experience was. It kind of, my brain shut off there slightly.
Yeah.
Number 6. Right? 6. This is the cattle one.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
NIDS were there when the cattle died.
Yeah, they actually, this is the only one they actually have footage.
Here's the weird thing. So
Yeah.
NIDS was there when cattle were dying, and it's not one cattle, it's multiple. The way that they died, they say that some were being cut open, and they do have footage of that one, but
Like
other
surgically,
ones,
like well cuts and stuff.
other ones were just being dropped from great heights.
Well, some of their cattle appeared to have been killed by being dropped onto the pasture from a great height.
They're killing themselves! Stop! Please!
Because they talk about having night vision footage or cameras, and it's like, what?
Where's the
What
footage?
the heck? You're an just put a camera.
And here's the other thing, right? They created, like I mentioned earlier, they created all these pens all around the ranch. And all the cameras are looking at the cattle inside the pens. So do they not have the cameras running 24/7? Or are these incidents of the actual cattle being mutilated from outside the ranch? Because they also specify that there's activity all around, even in like the town nearby.
Yeah.
They don't really specify.
So they find a calf cut open, and I don't know if I want to show it or not because I don't want to get flagged.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty gruesome, I think. But it's like this calf, and it's basically like ripped open. You can see that its spine is sticking out, and it was kind of just laying there with like its belly up or belly down. But it's like they say like it's put there almost ritualistically.
Yeah.
They actually find its femur a little ways away, and the weird thing is that there's no blood on the grass around it, suggesting that it was killed elsewhere and brought here.
And brought there, yeah.
Why are you keeping your identity secret?
I have chosen to keep my identity confidential to not only protect the integrity of our effort and to avoid distractions that would potentially compromise our efforts.
His name is Brandon Fugel, though, so now people know his name. But he's very spooky character.
They don't really say what he does. I googled him. He owns a lot of property. He's just a real estate tycoon, essentially. Why he bought the land. He even trademarked Skinwalker Ranch. So watch him make it into a amusement park.
And that's it, guys. That's all for today's scheduled programming. I hope you'll join us next time when we'll talk about, we'll see. Man, I hope that you find that Skinwalker someday.